come. This meeting, Conservation Commission will now convene. First up, we have bills.
None.
We got bills. Are we allowed to start with bills already? Wow.
Okay. Anybody had a chance to look at the minutes yet?
They look good to me, but. They look good to me, too.
Okay.
Very good as usual. No, they do they give a nice explanation. They're refreshing for us, but also a lot of information that's in there that took.
Do you have an extra copy of the minutes? I don't think I got a copy of it.
Here's a copy. I already read mine.
Thank you.
Everybody need a minute?
I'm gonna stop printing them out. I always print them out.
Yeah, I'll print them for you.
Could have saved a staple.
Good.
Okay, what are your wishes?
I move we approve the minutes as written.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes of December 9th are accepted as written. Next up, we have the Mass Trails Grant.
Yeah, so I was approached by Leanne Connolly of representing the Friends of the Belchertown Greenway to work with her in collaboration on a Mass Trails Grant application to get funding for construction costs to rehabilitate the Trestle Bridge structure that's over the the Javish Brook. I mean, it's a historic timber trestle railroad bridge that is in need of repair and rehabilitation. The Friends of the Greenway group has obtained funding to have an engineering structural assessment performed, and that was done by Fuss and O'Neill. And Fuss and O'Neill also provided site plans for these repairs. And I mean, according to the engineers, the structure itself has plenty of reserve strength to accommodate the rehabilitation, but that the rehabilitation of the structure is needed to accommodate future potential trail development, but also for general safety features. So
What are they trying to bring it up to? Are they fire trucks going over it?
no.
I think
So
they could do that now.
the structure itself.
They could do that now.
The structure itself, oh, of course I don't have the plans in front of me. The structure itself, again, based on the engineering evaluation, it has plenty of reserve strength to accommodate a rehabilitation. So the rehabilitation is looking at replacing the bridge decking, which is, I think, 8 feet wide. Yeah, 8 feet wide. And then on either side, there's a 6-inch timber curb. So that puts the actual span to 9 feet wide. So, I mean, that bridge decking, including the curbing, is within the same footprint of the existing deck It includes replacing the chain link fencing on either side of the bridge deck for enhanced safety measures. And there's additional work to address some deterioration of some pile caps and that are on abutments, and potentially rehabilitate 3 wing walls on the approaches underneath the deck. They're wooden. But the report says that there's only 3 wing walls. So on one side of the structure, I presume that a wing wall is missing. So again, I've been working on this application.
Great,
Oh,
great.
yeah. Steve has given it his blessing. The overall value of the project is a little over $95,000, and that's just construction costs. So we are looking for funding for the construction costs, and it is a pretty integral part of the Mass Central Rail Trail because it's at the southern portion of town, so the trailhead that gets access to this portion of the trail is off of Route 181. And I drive down Route 181 numerous times a day, and there are so many cars parked there. And if they can't get over the Trestle Bridge, that eliminates connectivity from the southern portion of town to the northern portions of the rail trail.
Where is it up around the golf course?
No,
It's just below that.
it's right in off of
It's
Mallard Estates.
yes.
What?
It's right off Henderson's project, right out back of it.
Kennedy Drive.
Yeah, off Kennedy.
Yep.
But it's more like Rainbow or one of them.
Yeah, the closest project address is 19 Rainbow Drive. I'm working right now to try to get in contact with the homeowners association for the Mallard Estates, because the closest construction access would be through their open space parcel. There are other means of access, like through the rail trail itself, but I don't know what kind of.
Town owns that.
I only looked it up.
I looked on GIS.
Did you look on the town GIS?
Yeah.
And it says that it's owned by the town?
It's a narrow strip, but we've got access.
So, I guess
I just
that's
don't
where.
know how wide it is.
I guess that's where I failed to look, is I was just looking at Mass GIS, and they don't necessarily always have the most updated
Well, I got
property
through our
owner
assessors.
information. Yeah, so that's.
When you click on it, it tells you who owns it.
So anyways, I think we have a solid application. It's a small project ask for something, a relatively small dollar amount for something that has wide benefits, I think. And in north of this Trestle Bridge, there's 2 town-owned parcels on either side of the MCRT that are loaded with trails that have been mapped by DCR. So, and that's just the beginning.
Near the golf course.
Yeah, the connectivity is massive. So,
I assume you'll be asking the CPC for support because we supported the initial study.
so that is what Leanne had told me, that the CPC had funded the structural assessment. We know that we are too late to ask the CPC for match money, but Leanne had told me that the structural assessment money from the CPC was like $16,500, something on that order. And I had called the Mass Trails coordinator of the program to ask if we could use that money towards the 20% required match for this current application, and she said that we could. And the remaining money that will be required to meet that 20% match will be worked off by myself and Stephanie, which only leaves about $3,000. And there's plenty of project administrative.
Bake sale in the future.
There's
could
plenty
contribute
of
that.
project administrative costs that we can work off to meet that 20% match. So,
How are you two doing it? What do you mean?
well, we'll be
It's
overseeing the
in-kind-
project.
In-kind service?
In-kind match. Yep. So I was very happy to hear from the state that we could use the money from the CPC that funded the structural assessment to go towards the match for this current application, of which there was $19,000 and some change. So you take that $16,500 out of that. Her and I can work off the rest of the in-kind match just from administrative capacity easily. So
And who is the grant through Mass Trails?
it's Mass Trails. Yep. So through DCR. And when I did speak with DCR, again, asking about if we could use the CPC money as match for this current application, she had said, Amanda Lewis, the program administrator, had said that, that this project is within one of their primary corridors. She said she couldn't guarantee funding, nor would I, expect that of the program, but that this project is within one of their primary corridors.
And this
So,
will make it continuous from 181 up to North Washington.
yeah,
And then North Washington.
to
goes all-
Springfield Road.
Yeah, this is 181 to Springfield Road.
Yeah,
And then, except for the little blip under Maple Street, it would bring it all the way to
Hamilton.
well, at Springfield Road,
Hamilton,
we'd have to
Yeah.
ditch out onto Piper Farm,
yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah.
But then the blip at Maple Street, of course. But yeah,
That would, well, you go to Piper,
yeah. I mean, the biggest trailhead, I think, for this section of trail in the southerly part of town is off of Franklin Street, Route 181. And yeah, in the southern portion of town. And so, like, if this bridge were to, fall into complete disrepair, nobody would be able to even get from the southern part of the town to any parts north. So I think it's valuable.
This is that's probably half of it. And it's all passable now, right?
It is. Like from Route 181
Yeah.
to I'll just call it at Springfield Road, just, But-
Any help from snowmobile?
they maintain the trails. But it was Ed who had wanted wanted it to be on the agenda so that
So
we could take an
it's
actual
My
motion.
thought here, when she asked me to sign it, I was more than willing to sign it, but it's in the name of the commission. So I felt that the commission should at least be aware of it and should at least,
Sign a letter of support?
yeah, exactly.
Are you getting one from the CPC as well, or?
I haven't asked them for one yet. So all of this, like me working on the application with Leanne through the Greenway Committee Friends Group, has transpired since our last Concom meeting. So all of this is kind of, just taking effect real
We
quick,
haven't
like,
met in months.
yeah.
So can
Um,
you still ask CPC for money to cover your $3,000?
No, we'll work that off with our in-kind match.
It'd be over a year for
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can work off, like, any hours we spend on grant administration is the in-kind match. And that's, our hourly rate plus our fringe benefits. And with projects
You're
like
not
this,
working for nothing,
no, not at
though,
all.
right? No, you're in your 40-hour week.
Oh, yes, 100%. So, anytime that we spend working on it from an administrative capacity will count towards the remainder of the $3 to $4 grand of in-kind match, which will be able to work off in no time flat. So,
$300 an hour.
well, if only.
Here. So anyway, there it is.
I wrote very short and simple letter
I
of
just felt that the
support.
commission should at least be aware of it and give their blanket support before I actually signed in their name.
Can we say strongly supports?
Any revisions could to the letter works.
If you-
But Ed was right. I should have, brought this to the commission.
No foul, I mean,
Well, yeah, no, I'm glad that you were like, when did we vote on this? And I was like, oh, well, wait, we didn't, because all this has transpired in the last month. So I'm glad
This is great.
to have a discussion about it and, just looking for a vote from the commission to support the project. And I can even include that in the letter, that at this meeting on 1/13, the commission voted to support the project, and here's our letter of support.
so I've got a question. The trail is not interrupted from Jackson Street all the way to Hamilton Street, right? As far as property owners. From Jackson to Hamilton. I think there's an issue down at Bay Road.
There is an issue at Bay Road.
But so from Jackson to
Bay Road,
Hamilton is uninterrupted.
Yeah, it's,
So I'm gonna change your thought process here, right? Instead of trying to push everything through Piper property, which I understand why you'd want to do that.
we have to, because we
Why?
don't own from Springfield Road up to the
Well, we
Maple
have another
Street
choice.
crossing. We don't own
I
that
understand
section.
that. I understand that, but what if we were to go to the school department and figure out a way to go up through the high school and down the utility right away to Stadler Street and push them out past and into our bike trail in Front Street and Carriage Drive.
Well, that was part of the other project potentially, but let's have that conversation at a different point in
Well,
time. Yeah.
we spent all the money in there, let's make use of it.
We spent some money in some areas of that, but this is specific to this bridge. So,
Yes, I get that.
But yeah,
But that's why I'm just saying, let's not confine ourselves to thinking about Piper property. We might want to look at, we got several routing choices through there.
yeah, Piper was probably just the easy lift for that portion. But again, this is specific to the bridge.
Yeah.
So, if the commission feels strongly about supporting the application, that would be great.
so moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Awesome.
Thank you for doing that. That's really great.
Yeah.
No, that's been the only snag in the whole.
Next up,
Has it been passable? Is it passable now?
Yes.
I mean,
It's
are people
passable.
using it?
People are definitely using it, but
Snowmobiles
there's
are using it.
significant
Coming
safety
issues.
concerns for
Yeah.
sure.
That's hiking, not biking.
Well. I mean, a lot of
Significant
people
safety
ride their bikes
concerns.
through there.
Yeah,
Also
I mean-
snowmobiles.
yes, snowmobiles, bikes, everything, it's,
I mean, it sounds like it's strong enough. to go.
well, I mean, when you consider that it was made for locomotives that were 700,000,
Yeah, you want to
800,000
go grab
pounds.
2410? I'm sorry.
A 10,000 pound vehicle or even a 15,000 pound vehicle is just 3 or 4% of what it was designed for. Which is probably where she said that reserve strength for, the basic bones are still solid enough for our purposes.
Yeah, to accommodate a future bike
Like she
trail.
said, it needs all new decking and, all the top dressing all needs to be
Yeah, and
refreshed.
there's like a pile abutment that needs to be
needs
replaced
some work.
and, just a
How
little
old
bit
now?
of work. I don't have the plans in front of me.
Yeah. Not much more than that.
Yeah.
We're not talking okay, we have a minor amendment for Miko, South Washington Street for 2 additional trees.
So this is the second tree removal that has been requested for this RDA. The first was approved for 2 additional tree removals in August. This is for an additional 2 tree removals along South Washington Street.
Don't remember where.
To facilitate the relocation of pole 3950.
Is that down in the S curve there by Kenzie Roads and Mill? Yeah,
Down in here.
yeah, so down in the mid 460s.
Yeah, wetlands all over.
Yeah.
Well, this says that they're within the 100-foot buffer zone to BVW. So they're within the buffer zone to that pole. The last 2
Yep, that's where we're at.
were requested by customers or
Right.
necessitated by unforeseen conditions due to forestry review.
Yeah, this is.
Yep.
So one of them is a 15-inch DBH maple and a 17-inch DBH maple, as I said before, to facilitate the relocation of pole 39-50. And Mika was wondering if these would be acceptable to the commission under the current negative determination.
It's an existing, how does the exemption on distribution, not transmission, do you know, I mean, it's within 10 feet of the road, so it's natural heritage.
Probably it's within the town right away.
I mean,
She didn't specify, she didn't send any maps. Again, the last 2 additional tree removals that were added to the project were because of homeowner requests or because of unforeseen conditions during the updated forestry review.
Has DPW seen this?
No, they don't.
I
They
didn't know
wouldn't.
Linda would comment or not.
No, they wouldn't.
I don't see an issue.
I think it's minor.
They gotta do what they gotta do.
Right,
as long as they leave this stump.
okay.
Either that or graft the pole right on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, if they use. just cut the
See,
limbs
it's
off
something
and use
like
the
this
pole.
that I would honestly make a administrative decision on, but until we have that administrative approval process formally set up, I don't want to. But
So I'm gonna skip ahead. Well, actually, we need to sign anything for that?
nope.
Okay.
You need to vote
So
on
I'm
that.
gonna skip ahead.
You need to vote.
I don't think so, because I think it's a minor amendment. You can vote if you want to.
Makes it cleaner.
Yeah.
I move that we approve the minor amendment for 2 additional trees on that.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Let's skip ahead to the COCs. Where do we stand with the getting recorded for Stadler Street, I think was the issue, I think.
And also for Bay Road.
Yep, so the stormwater management agreement for Stadler Street has been recorded. So that satisfies the order of conditions.
Got our as-built and all that.
Yep, we've had the as-built. The only thing that was hanging out in the ether was getting the stormwater management agreement recorded. So that has happened.
I move we issue a certificate of compliance for DEP 1040927 at 1 to 3 Stadler Street.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
For Bay Road, Sherman and Frederick is working on recording their stormwater management agreement. So that will hang out on the agenda until that has happened.
And 769 Federal.
So that, this order of conditions is outstanding from 1994.
Yeah, it's probably got a DP number like 200 something.
Well, the DEP number on the order of conditions has been whited out. On not only the copy that we have, but what was also recorded at the Registry of Deeds. We have no idea what,
Check them in.
I don't know if they go all the way back to 1994.
They better.
They were
We have,
Alice Cooch and wrote,
well,
Yes,
we
we
have the recording information for the order of conditions because it was recorded at the registry. So who needs the DEP file number?
that's when he was white out. And
There was,
Well,
There
let me
was a-
guess, they want to sell.
well, I think the property may have already sold, but there were two enforcement orders that were issued back in the 90s for alteration of an agricultural ditch, and wetlands replication was required to
is this
occur.
right in front of Dago Well?
Yeah,
Okay, I remember.
and
Yeah.
I believe that the agricultural ditch was supposed to be reconstructed, and there was a whole bunch of plantings that were supposed to happen. None of them have happened. Yeah. Some of the letters in the file were,
With a daycare center. It was ugly. Ooh.
I remember that daycare.
yeah, that's
I was
what
over
I
in Midland
gleaned
at that time.
from reading in the file.
They still live there.
No, apparently not. So,
Well, one, the ex-wife of the original applicant still lives there.
So, wait a minute.
yeah, well, she was the nicer of the two.
So has anybody gone up and actually looked at it?
I did.
Okay.
I've seen.
There's,
Are you satisfied with it?
yeah. Sherry, do you want to come up and come sit over here?
Oops, sorry.
I mean, it's all part of the public record anyways.
I mean, we're not gonna get any more out of it.
I mean, my only thought is to establish a no-mow area, but also too, with something that's almost 20 years old, what more are you gonna get? Like, is it even worth it
I mean,
to
if we can get a
go
no-
after it?
If we can get a no-mow, I'm happy with it, because it isn't filled. It wasn't filled, it was mowing, it was alteration. There was a red maple swamp with blueberries in there, and it was just always mowed if you stop mowing it.
Yeah, when I was out there earlier today, I could see the wet area. And when I had spoke with you on the phone, I'm Sarah, by the way. Thank you for coming.
Sure.
When we had, oh, I think I have a similar sweater. Oh, right, no, she does. But anyway,
Okay.
sorry. When we had talked on the phone, there's a wet area
Yeah.
that's back behind the red maples that are in your yard,
Mhm.
like the red maple trees. If we could have that area be not mowed, that would work. And I would be willing to come out and meet with you and show you the area. That would be
Okay, because
that would be ideal to have it not be mowed because it's going to be wet anyways.
Yep.
I mean, it was obviously saturated when I was there today.
Yep.
And come springtime, I mean, you had said that there's a
Big
puddle.
puddle, yeah.
So that's the area in question.
Yep.
And the thing about not mowing it is that the vegetation itself will help suck up so much water.
Mhm.
And in the springtime too, when you're mowing your yard, I mean, why would you want to mow your yard,
don't do that.
like mow it
Yeah, we
through
go
like
around
a
it.
super wet
Yeah, we go
area,
around it. We go around it, yeah.
right? So, for something that's this old, I think, I mean, that was my thought when I went out on
It's
site.
been maintained like that for the last 30 years.
It has been.
And if you stop moving it, it's going to come back in as a wet. And I'm perfectly happy with that. That's basically what we wanted in the first place.
Yeah.
So we asked for some additional planting. It was not a very friendly relationship.
No, that's not my doing.
Oh,
I plead the
certainly
fifth.
not.
I plead the fifth there.
Seemed- And it's next to the water company. You can see it from the road in the water company. That's where we saw most of it. I would be happy with no more.
Yeah, so if we could, establish a no-mow area between what was the agricultural ditch and some of the red maple trees,
Mhm.
that would be awesome.
we
If
did-
you
we
would
did
be amenable to that. And honestly, if you think about it, that means that there's less area in your yard that you have to mow. I mean, less mowing is less maintenance. It's better for everybody.
Right,
Um,
right. I do know that and I don't quote me on all this, but it's public record. There was a big discussion about this, and it turned out that the culvert that went underneath that road was put in by the town, which indeed made the wetland that was there.
I didn't see any evidence of that
Yeah, I think,
structure.
yeah, that's,
But the
That's why the water-
agricultural ditch that
Yeah.
it drained into had been filled in. And that was part of the whole issue. And there are wetlands on the opposite side of that,
on the other side.
on the opposite side of that Dago Well access road. And part of what was required 20-ish years ago was to reestablish that drainage ditch.
Yep.
I think that the water still conveys itself more
Yep,
or
it
less
does.
fine through that area. I mean, it's very evident that it's wet from aerial photographs.
Yep.
And there is somewhat of a depression.
Yep.
But
There is.
yeah, with something as old as this, I think trying to require like full-blown wetland plantings is extensive and unnecessary. I think just creating a no-mow area,
Okay.
it'll all just grow back and it'll just be its own wetland in and of itself.
Okay.
You don't even have to plant anything. It'll
Right.
just do its thing. So I can, set up a time when it's not so frigid to maybe
Yeah.
meet with you and show you what areas to not mow,
Okay,
if that's cool with you.
yeah, and the house will be on the market in the spring, just FYI.
Yeah, so that's also
That's too much for
hence
me.
why the
It's too much
COC
for me to
came
take
up
care of.
for us.
I can't take care of it by myself.
Oh yeah, it's a big property
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
Less to mow.
Less to mow, the better.
yeah. Well, I don't do the mowing, but I will be this year.
I mean, other than that, I didn't see any. I only have one with the wrong file number on it. Other than that, I didn't really see any other issues of concern. It was something from 1994. Again, wait, that is 20 years, right?
It's 30 years.
30? Oh, I'm really bad at math. The commission
30.
knows I'm really bad at math.
30 years.
No, it's, as they say, you think 30 years and you're thinking back to the 70s, but no, that's 50 years.
30 years? Oh, gosh.
I was here. You were here.
Mhm.
No, I was not here in 94. Or a whole bunch of other different things going on in my life in 94, but this wasn't it.
So Stephanie's just
As
going
I
to.
said, I was delivering mail up there.
So is it appropriate to do a motion now and sign it now?
Yeah.
With contention, with stipulation. So I would move that we issue a certificate of compliance and that the stipulation that no vote zone be established. That's acceptable to vote to the conservation.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
So I typically send the original document to an individual's engineering representative or lawyer.
Okay.
So I guess when I give you a call, well, no, I don't want to wait that long. Because I figure, it's not like we have to look at the NOMO area tomorrow.
Right.
But maybe also give you a call tomorrow to see who I should send the original documentation
Okay, I can
to.
email, if you email me, I will send you an email with my realtor.
Okay.
I mean, my attorney, my realtor
Perfect,
attorney.
because they need
That's-
the actual hard copy.
She's the one who asked me about it,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, awesome. And then we can set up a time and I can
Okay.
just show you the area. It's not a big area.
Okay, yeah.
I mean,
No,
you've
don't
got so much
usually mow-
yard there.
I don't usually mow there anyway. 'cause
Yeah.
It is wet.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for coming down.
Thank
and
you.
Thanks for reaching out to us about
Yeah,
closing
I
this
know.
out.
Yeah, I need to figure all this out.
We like to close these things
Yes,
out. It doesn't matter
me
how
too.
long they've been open. It's
Yeah.
nice to close the book on
Yes,
them.
thank you.
Okay,
Stephanie.
we have right of first refusals on both Jensen and Cold Spring that we have continued.
Yes, I did. I did hear back from the water department that they have no interest
In Jensen.
in Jensen. And I
That was
also.
Belchertown or Springfield? Both.
Belchertown Water Department. And I do know that Steve is looking to have this on the agenda for the select board either, I think he said the first meeting in February for them. So, seeing as how there is no local interest in trying to acquire the parcel, it may make the most sense to recommend not to issue the right of first refusal.
It would be the water company that would, there are a bunch of things. The cemeteries across the street, whether the DEP is going to allow a well going in across downgrading of the cemetery, there's a bunch of issues with it.
Those are not for us to figure out.
No, I mean, that was part of what I was encouraging the water company to try to get it just as a backup, just to investigate it further to see if there was any potential for a water source, because they're not making new ones.
Right? That's true.
Anyway, But they thought it was, well, the purchase and sale price was more than they can afford. And it's, they thought it was overpriced, because I don't think they're gonna get too many lots of them. They gotta come to us.
Yeah, these things are always difficult, you know?
Riverfront and
Priority habitat and lots of wetlands. It's tough.
And in back of there, there's a cold water fishery.
Yep.
Yep.
It would have been sweet for the water company, because there's a line right there. They could have tied right into it.
For sure.
So I recommend, I make a motion that we recommend that the selectman does not exercise our right.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We have voted not to to recommend to not exercise.
That language is always tricky.
And what about Cold Spring Road?
Stephanie knows more about this than I do.
Another Fry Park property, 3-1.
On the corner of Sable,
Right on the corner.
right on the corner,
Yeah. There's,
where the house used to be there.
Uh-huh.
So I uploaded all of this to the page, the meeting documents. If you guys want to look through it further, the top sheet is the 4 lots, and then each of the individual packets is stapled. If you guys want to look through it, you know, I apologize that I don't make numerous copies of these things. That's why I put them on the website, so that I don't have to, you know, have a mound of scrap paper.
Death by 1,000.
Well, the only thing I can see out of this, it does have connect up against the DCR or Matt's Fish and Wildlife, or whichever it is.
Yeah, but that, not these. Well, that.
Well, no, it's all this, since these are coming out of this bigger property, and that is the Commonwealth's property. It does butt up against that.
It's paved back there. I didn't realize that.
Paved?
There's one, there's a road here. I don't realize there was a road. That's the other one. Oh, they're taking those 3 and then that one. This is where the house was.
Yes.
And that, but this road is paved, they're saying. I've ridden it on a horse.
yeah, the old road is,
I didn't know that.
right to.
Do you know with acquisitions, would it be possible for us to purchase it and then work out a future purchase agreement with DCR or DFW or something like that?
Well, the thing is they're not talking the whole parcel. They're just talking these 4 lots out of here. And what is what I hate about this process. They take out 4 lots over here
Right.
and all this land.
Right. And when
And
they
then now we'll take another one and another
Yeah.
one and another.
And Mass Wildlife was contacted, a year or whatever ago when they first took a couple months out of this chunk. But they did already try. Mass Wildlife or DCR, they did already
Okay.
try. The seller wasn't interested.
The seller wasn't interested.
So
DCR wanted to buy it.
they offered, but not enough.
Well, I make a motion, we advise the selectmen to refute or not exercise their right of first refusal.
Reluctant.
Yeah.
I second that.
So we should keep an eye on this. And when that last piece goes up, that blocks their access, that's the one we should again bring to their,
The one
bring
that's
to their
closest.
attention.
What was it? Any idea what the purchase and sale price was?
No, I haven't read that whole packet.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So-
Somebody make a motion on this?
Yeah.
That did.
I
A
did.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So I guess both of those can go on the same agenda for the selectmen. Okay, so now we are going to circle back to the fee schedule.
See, $25,000 for what? $25,000 for what? Is that what it is?
That can't be right, or else I wouldn't. It can't be right.
That's just for each lot. Phase 4, then there's another 100 acres.
So before the fee schedule, I guess the easier lift is the administrative approval forms. Again, as I'm sure I've explained before, these are really only under the minor exempt activity exemptions. Sorry, that was redundant. Under the Wetlands Protection Act regulations. And this is a mechanism to still get a permit, if you will, on the books, but without it going to a RDA, like without, it's permit streamlining, so that for minor exempt activities, they don't have to get a legal determination from the commission. This is something that is administrative that I would handle in the office. That's not to say that we won't see RDAs for other projects, but again, this is only for the minor exempt activities as stated in the wetlands regulations, and the top sheet is the actual request form. The second sheet is the approval form. I've used the second sheet in other towns, the actual approval form. The request form is something that I adapted from a different town.
And this still has to go through the hearing process.
No.
I thought we had to-
No, this is for the minor exempt activities. So it's a permit streamlining process so that folks that want to do a project that is a minor exempt activity don't have to do an RDA.
I understand that, but are we having hearings on this?
No.
We are on that.
On the fee schedule, yes, but I figured walking through the minor activity forms first would be an easier lift to kind of make a decision than the fee schedule at this point.
And you can add additional conditions?
Oh, of course. Yep. Again, the first sheet is just the request form.
And then this is your.
And the second sheet is the actual approval. Like, oh, you want to install a shed that's 50 feet from a wetland. I went, you requested it. I went out, I did an inspection. That is a minor exempt activity.
And is this under the bylaw?
It does not have to be.
Because, I mean, the thing that always bothered me about the minor exempt activities was you have to stay 50 feet from the wetland boundary, but nobody ever reviewed the wetland boundary. And
This is where the request form comes into play.
I like it.
Yes, yeah. Is that gives me the ability to go out and review the wetland line.
Make sure it is what it is.
Yes.
Because people think they can just do it.
Indeed.
They have no idea
I mean, like this administrative approval process won't be implemented until we've adopted the fee schedule because they're part and parcel in my opinion. But I just figured like the administrative approval documents was again an easier thing to get through than the fee schedule per se.
But do we still have to have a public hearing on this?
Nope,
We do in the fee schedule.
correct.
Because if we don't do it, they can't do it. Because of bylaw.
I mean, I guess I could implement this without the fee schedule being implemented. I guess the reason why I was kind of waiting for the administrative, like the minor activity process is because under the fee schedule, we'd be charging $25 for these. I mean, I could do this at any time because it's not under our local bylaw. It's under the Wetlands Protection Act regulations.
But is it going to be under our local bylaw?
It's not under our local regulations, sorry. It's under it's a permit streamlining through the wetlands regulations. It doesn't have to be under our bylaw. And it doesn't even have to be talked about in our regulations, because this doesn't have anything to do with our regulations.
But our regulations wouldn't necessarily allow minor. I think we want to incorporate, I think we need to incorporate this into our regulations. So that,
Yeah, I've gone back and forth about that in my head as well. It seems how these don't make any reference to our local regulations. I mean, our local regulations don't really talk about the minor exempt activities, as they don't really need to, because they're already explicit under the wetlands regulations. No, the bylaw doesn't have to discuss it. The regulations is what clarifies the bylaw. But these are under the Wetlands Protection Act only.
I'm talking about our wetland regulations, not our bylaw.
I don't think that it's necessary to talk about this under our regulations because these cite the state wetlands regulations.
Right, but we need to make them parallel. I think you need to, I mean, we can do this and then allow it under the state. But it's still.
You think there should be a subsection in our local regulations about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think-
Yeah, I've thought about it a lot and I just kind of, I really thought about it honestly, and it's,
I'm not trying to rewrite the
oh, no. I've thought about it, but I guess my only frame of reference is doing this administrative minor activity process in Palmer when we didn't talk about it under our local regulations. But having a subsection underneath it that references the state regulations may make sense. Because I think when we updated the regulations in Palmer in 2015, I think this administrative process, this administrative approval process was just coming maybe to the forefront. So subsection under.
When the minor activities came in with the riverfront in 96.
Well, yeah, but
No.
under the local regs, like in Palmer, we didn't reference these. It was kind of separate. But I've jockeyed with a subsection under the local regulations about. Yeah, I may have been taking the easy way out of being like, no,
Well, I
me
mean,
too,
don't-
but it's not something that I haven't thought about.
Can we just get a legal opinion from the town? I mean,
Regarding what?
I mean, yeah.
Probably not.
Why?
Well, I was
Why?
gonna,
Because getting the funds.
it costs money,
It costs serious money.
serious money,
I
big
think to
money.
make a phone call is like $500.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I mean,
I can work it out.
we're gonna do regulations for this.
Hmm.
Let's just slip this in through.
I may honestly, like, if we can come to terms on the fee schedule. I know I had said previously that I only wanted to update the regulations to include the fee schedule because the state's updating the wetlands, their wetlands regulations. But I think I might just say, let's update it all. I mean, all of the rest of the regulations that I've updated, I'm really only changing the format, expanding some definitions. I'm really not changing anything
Are we
else.
ready to do it?
Well, not for the rest of the regs. I think the most important part still is the fee schedule. But then to include that and then have the commission look at the rest of the regulations instead of doing a super iterative process. Because again, like what I've done with updating the regulations is I really haven't changed much of the information. I've deleted some sections that were not super relevant, but it's all the same information. I've just updated it into a different format that mirrors what other towns have used. And it honestly mirrors how the wetlands regulations are spelled out as well. Like, but the language is more or less the same. But so, I mean, I think the biggest thing, again, for me is the fee schedule because the rest of it with the regulations is just language. And there are some thresholds that I've dropped. Like, for example, I'm proposing to drop our local jurisdiction over isolated wetlands from 5,000 square feet to 2,500 square feet to expand our jurisdiction over isolated wetlands. Because there's a couple times we've run into issues with isolated wetlands that are under 5,000 square feet, that aren't jurisdictional, that like to just dump water out onto the road. And if we had, regulation over those that are under 5,000 square feet, then maybe like in this one particular circumstance, there wouldn't be a bunch of water in the road that DPW is not happy about. I can, to the best of my ability. Because it's also been an iterative process for me, but I've tried to make comments on what I've changed. But again, a lot of it, the language hasn't really changed. It's just changing the format, expanding some definitions, and dropping some thresholds. And that's about it. But the fee schedule is honestly the most important thing because that's been a directive from the select board since the tail end of 22. So we had to get this ready to go. That's a whole hell of a lot of information though, all at once.
Well, do these together? I don't think that'd be an issue.
Oh, well, that's why I wanted to talk about the admin form first.
I agree with it.
Okay.
You know, my feeling.
Well, we got a
I know.
set of fees. Well, there are different options.
Different options.
But I mean, we've got to do this with a public hearing, and if it's, this is a small,
Oh,
this is going to change our regulation.
oh yeah, no,
We
I'm
can do this
not,
with it.
like, we can update we can do both of these within a regulation update capacity, like a public hearing.
Not the-
I'm still trying to work through like the fee schedule to get the commission's sense of what the best way is forward for that. So then I can add that to the regulations and bring that to the public hearing process.
And bring this in with it.
Indeed. And bring the minor activity form in with it.
Okay, what's the difference between the three of them? I mean, I see the first, the 50 versus the 100.
So page 2 and 3 has a thing for an extra fee for parcels. Page 3 has a thing for friendly enforcement order and lifted enforcement order.
Page 2 also includes a 50% COC fee with an NOI filing fee. I don't know, I still don't like that personally. No, I meant $50 filing fee, sorry.
For what?
Yeah, included with an NOI fee, which I think is difficult because that category includes NOIs, ANOIs, and amended OOCs. And I just don't feel like we can charge people for the COC fee when they haven't filed for it.
So back up. So why are we even seeing three different ones? Like, what's the origin on that? And what's your recommendation?
It's a meeting, it's discussions that me, Ed, and Dave had about possible different ways to approach this. My preferred is page number 1.
Because what do you like about it most?
Because it's simple, it's clear cut, and under the regulations, the commission reserves the right to change or eliminate any filing fees that they see fit, as I have written into the new regulations. I think page number 1 is the most clear cut. The only thing that I honestly like from pages, the best thing that I like from pages 2 and 3 is adding in a fee for a partial certificate of compliance, which is double the price of a complete
Well,
certificate
that
of
certainly would
compliance.
encourage the applicants to get their project
Yeah.
done.
The problem there is half the time the person applying for the partial is the person that owns the single lot in the subdivision. And that person's going to be paying that fee.
Yeah,
And they're being penalized.
that's true.
So wait a minute, no. Because if we do it right, it's the developer that's making that initial sale, and they're gonna be the ones paying for that parcel.
No, half the
And then that
times
parcel
it's not.
exists, once, if the new homeowner turns around and sells it again, the parcel's already there.
That's why I like
Half-
including it in the NOI fee.
No, half the times, most of the partials that we get are not from the developer. They're from the person who owns the house, who bought it from the developer. And never got a COC.
So wait a minute. So if developer starts a project, builds a road, he's gonna have to sell a lot to a builder. Why aren't we doing parcels then?
Because it's the real estate attorney who's not doing a good enough title search to say that there's an open order of conditions on the property, and that it needs to be closed out before the real estate transaction happens. Or what the real estate attorney does is they reference the order of conditions in the deed of sale, and then they just sell it. And then it doesn't come back around for 15, 20 years, honestly, until a
But
real estate
it seems to
attorney
me- it
who
seems
does
to
their
me
due
that-
diligence finds that there's an actual clout on the deed.
It seems to me that when the road developer sells the house lot to a builder, or it's the road developer selling a built house, either way, it should be the developer getting that parcel.
They don't, unless their real estate attorney tells them that there's a clout on the deed. And honestly, in my opinion, my opinion doesn't matter, but there are ways around that. so that it comes down 15 years down the line that it's homeowner X who bought it from somebody who bought it from somebody else who bought it from the developer and was never told that there was an order of conditions on the property.
Yeah, so I don't think that the parcel should be more than a certificate.
Yeah, I honestly, I thought I liked
I
it
think-
at the moment and I think I just don't like it at all. I think
I think.
partials
I
is
don't
too
think we should
much.
be doing it for free.
Maybe.
An administrative approval, include a partial COC under the admin approval, charge $25.
Make it up to your decision.
So
That's an administrative thing, is it not?
we make certificate of compliance, $50 or $10 an acre.
Yeah,
And a partial would be the same price. Because if it's a subdivision, if it's a single lot, then and then again, we're getting partial requests. We're getting partial requests for when the builder wants to sell the property and his lawn is in there.
right.
That's a partial,
Mm,
you know. I would put them the same place, but a certificate or a partial, put them at the same place.
yeah, why not? I like
I
that.
can, I can live with it.
That streamlines it. I like that. That makes it less complicated.
Just say certificate of compliance or partial certificate of compliance.
Otherwise, again, I still like page 1. The only other discussion is, friendly enforcement order after the fact filing.
What I usually see for after the fact filings are, so a friendly enforcement order, they're not filing a notice of intent.
No,
What I've seen for that after the fact filings is the double filing.
oh yeah, so
Well,
that's
why
what I have
RDA
like
is
under,
$50 and this is 100.
Yeah, but under a notice of intent, a notice of intent is $50 for the first acre and $100 for each additional.
so what I have under the second, cell on page 1 is monitoring of replication, restoration, and mitigation areas. And that lists is any resource area restoration as a result of a violation and or enforcement action shall be charged 200% of the fees above. So maybe that's not the right language of an after the fact filing or lifting an enforcement order, but also maybe that language has to be changed because technically I don't monitor replication areas. They have to pay their own person.
But you
So-
gotta look at it.
Well, yeah, I do. But so maybe change that language to
Right?
something to include, like somewhere between monitoring and friendly enforcement or after the fact filing. I can always take that friendly enforcement order after the fact filing cell and add it onto page 1.
Okay, where's lifting? What about a
Lift and enforcement order is at the bottom of page 1.
I think you should put. The thing is if you're doing a friendly enforcement order after the fact filing, you don't necessarily have to file a notice. So with a friendly enforcement order after the fact filing, you're not necessarily filing a notice of intent. So we ought to at least get what you get for the notice. I think it should be double what you would get for the notice.
Yeah, I guess an
Well, so,
after,
I mean, but it also might have been an RDA. So just make a friendly enforcement order double, just make it 2 times what the fees would have been. If it just,
friendly EO 2 times fees. Is that what you said? A friendly
So
EO?
and so any friendly enforcement order, I would just make it 2 times what the filing fee would have been.
For permit.
Whether it be RTA, NOI, whatever it would have been, just make it double that.
Okay.
And put in the language.
And then after the fact filing, are we feeling the same?
That's what I feel.
Well, that's what we were talking about, was after the fact, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was a friendly EO
And then
Well, they're kind of the same.
and after the fact.
put a condition, put a stipulation in here. These, at the discretion of the commission, these can be.
Yes, yes, I have already worked that into, the language, that there are situations where we want the ability to waive the fees. I do not have the language in there, just, to like go to the other end of the spectrum, that we wouldn't like hike the fees for any given like situation. Like, oh, we have a after the fact filing and we're gonna, instead of 2 times the fees, we're gonna charge you 10 times. Like, I don't, like,
Yeah.
like the language that I have written in there, just to clarify, like, we have the ability to waive them, but not hike them, if you will. Like, just to like make that clear.
Well, I mean, making a notice of intent. We don't, yeah.
Yeah,
So-
no, I would
so-
never want that.
So are you done? Okay, no. So my thought here is that we're leaving an option here where we can waive fees.
Yep.
Or if they want to dispute a fee, they can appeal to you.
Yep.
But if you don't feel like giving anything, then they can appeal to the full board and our word would be final. If they don't like the answer that you give, they can appeal, they can come put it in front of all of us.
Yeah.
Whatever we decide as a full board is done.
They could appeal that to the superior.
Yeah. Or the select board, maybe?
Yeah,
If it's a
probably.
local fee, it would
Yeah,
be
if it's a local fee, I mean,
N2
let's face it, they appoint us,
PCC.
so.
then to SB. Good. I think we made some good headway on this. I think we've landed pretty well on this fee schedule.
Can I just ask, the
Sure thing.
monitoring of replication, restoration, mitigation areas, I think you covered this maybe before. Are these generally a one-time visit for you? Or are we talking it's like an annual thing or something?
Well, monitoring the reputation.
Is it really monitoring or is it just a compliance check?
Well,
Oh, like
she
a,
will go out to the site during construction, maybe a pre-construction meeting. She might have a pre-construction meeting, and she'll go out
Once or twice in between,
once or twice in between. And
the final.
and drive it around.
so I don't know, so would you be charging them 4 times then under that scenario?
No. This would be for the project.
No, it would be one lump sum.
Okay.
So as she said though, usually there's a wetlands person that does the weekly or monthly or monitoring, because our replication areas, we're watching for up to 3 years.
Yeah, I wouldn't go out in like, if I was, going out twice a year to a site, I wouldn't, like, that was, because this is all about enforcement.
Right now, we're getting, oh, that isn't, no.
Monitoring of replication, restoration, and mitigation areas, that's all about enforcement. Oh, wow.
And that isn't the way I read it.
Any resource area restoration required as a result of a violation and or enforcement action.
All right, I see that.
But no, I wouldn't be going out and being like, here, you owe me $250 because I just walked your monitoring area. Well, a little different there, David. But no, it would be more like one lump sum. But that's,
You're not charging to go out, and that's part of the notice of intent.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have a line item underneath for looking at linear feet of flagging, resource area confirmations. But like for the NOI, for example, like the fee includes the pre-activity meeting. It can be, but there's not a lot of large parcels left in Belchertown. Well, there are,
That's
but
for us
not
to delineate or for us to review?
to confirm the wetland line.
There isn't too many big projects coming up in town.
Well, you have the 2-acre parcel, you can get a 400 foot line. Is that a single house lot?
Well, I don't think.
I think,
again,
so for resource area confirmations, I guess, NOI
So-
may not be appropriate under there. It would be more like RDA or ANRAD.
So-
Because there's a section under RDA that's just for confirming wetland delineations. And then an ANRAD is solely for confirming wetland delineations.
So
So for
would-
an NOI, I don't know that I would charge a separate fee from the NOI fee when I'm going out to look at their
we
wetland
already
lines
have a
already.
$50 fee for a first acre
Yeah.
on an NOI, which is your basic house lot.
Yeah,
I don't
So-
know why we would be going after additional fees for just a basic house lot.
yeah, so I'm gonna get rid of the under resource area confirmations. It'll only be for RDA because there is a specific box you can check for resource area delineations. And then the ANRAD is specifically for resource area confirmation. So
Just
we'll get
sorta-
rid of NOI under there.
I just sort of wonder if for resource area confirmation, if like an hourly rate would be more appropriate.
No.
No?
The reason why I don't think an hourly rate is appropriate is because that blurs the lines. Like, this is under our local wetlands bylaw. I've never seen any town calculate these fees based on an hourly rate. And if that was the case, it would cost people way more money than $1 per foot of flagging for me.
Well, I guess I wondered what the point of these fees is, to recoup expenses within your department?
Number one, directive from the select board, all the departments were told to increase our fees, of which we don't have any local fees. The point of this is to collect monies on permits and activities that the town, that we don't currently collect monies on under our local bylaw. Right now, we're only collecting money under the State Wetlands Protection Act. So we only get monies for notices of intent and ANRADs. So we process RDAs, COCs, emergency certs, we do re-inspections, extension permits, all of these things for nothing. So we collect these monies, they get put into a separate filing fee account from the state money we get from from NOIs, and we can use that to offset our budget.
So does this go into the general?
It does not. It lives similarly to our monies collected under the State Wetlands Protection Act. These monies under the local wetlands protection bylaw, they are put into two separate accounts, neither of which can be taken into the general fund.
So that's probably still gonna take a motion at town
Nope, it does not.
It's a regulation.
meeting. Okay.
Yep, it does not.
So actually, this is not gonna use, but what's it gonna be used to offset?
It could go back into paying salaries. It could. go-
No,
that comes out of the general
no,
fund.
no,
Just
no.
mileage?
No, it can be used for mileage, it can be used for administration and enforcement of the Wetlands Protection Act. And like, let's envision a couple years down the road, we don't touch these local funds or the state funds. Those could be used to hire, let's say, like an 8-hour-a-week secretary. Like a couple of years down the road. But these funds under my administration will not ever be taken into the general fund, nor that it is legal
So it's
at all.
same as the Wetlands Protection Act money is for the administration.
Yeah. And, in these hard times, the more money that we're bringing in and also trying to be reasonable about it, that means that some of our other budget line items that do come from the general fund could be possibly shifted around to make more monies available to us for things that aren't specifically related to administration and enforcement of the act. What that is, I don't know, because everything I do is administration and enforcement of the act, but it's another funding resource.
Could we use
No.
So
this money
real,
for-
But what we could do is use this money to offset our budget and maybe shift some of the line items around from the general fund to other line items for land management and maybe appraisals with the blessing of the powers that be. Because they're giving us X amount of dollars from the general fund, right? If we're bringing in monies like locally,
they're gonna cut.
that
our
we
allocation
can-
to the general fund.
well, no, they can't do that. That's not legal. Like,
So this is not, so the.
Nothing
selectmen are
says that I
envisioning
have
one
to
thing.
nothing says that we have to spend this money.
Sarah.
We can sit on it for forever.
Sarah, the selectmen gave that directive. Because they envisioned that this would somehow reduce the cost that what we're having to tap the general fund for, and that's not gonna work here.
Well, for
So in
every
effect-
other
In
department,
effect, all we're doing,
no, for every other department, where every other department's fees that they collect go automatically into the general fund. Ours
Well,
do not.
down,
And no
down
one
there,
says-
down like the other end of the common, they do not. They get cycled back into
Into
us
a revolving fund.
for the department.
And ours is a revolving fund, but no, I mean, we have maybe 10 grand. There's no way they can take our monies right now and have anything to gain off of it. If that was the case, then they shouldn't have, well, anyways.
They probably made a blanket statement without actually understanding how it all works.
Oh, I've made it known, widely known.
Yeah.
Because I've shared the DOR guidance, like I'm all over this.
I get it.
Like
But
white
so,
on
in
rice.
effect, We're taking in the money and it's really not too many ways of spending it. The town can't touch it. So it's kind of.
So do we need a motion on
Just
an
leave it to me.
approval of an amended schedule then, or no? Is that today or next time?
Not yet, no,
Not yet.
no.
I
So
think
that
I'll
gets
make
done
some-
At the end of the public review period, that's when we vote to accept it.
We have
No, I thought in terms of us putting forward a recommendation?
So she's got her recommendation.
Yeah,
Okay.
the discussion is
no,
good.
The final votes don't come till later.
So I'm
The only reason I
gonna,
know that, I've been through this process before, and actually so is Dave.
I'll make
Right now, this is just a
a
working
working group
discussion.
session.
Mm.
Yep. I'll make the revisions to the fee schedule, and then if you guys
Give them to us one more time, and we can say they're good for,
for inclusion into the regulations.
then at that point, we have to advertise in the paper for 3 public hearings.
Well, you guys, well, I'll send out the regulations as well. I'm still not done working on them, but they're almost done. But again, it's all the same information. It's just a different format with a couple revisions.
So with everything we've done here, if you would send out one single copy of, this is how we discussed it. Does anybody have any final
Perfect,
thoughts or?
perfect.
Yeah.
Go
We
just,
can break it up into 2 parts.
that was my thought.
We can adjust the fees in this application.
Hmm.
That's their problem, not ours. As long as we've done our due diligence.
Like I heard that from a friend once before. You just gotta wear
I
it down.
remember last time we did the regulation, we had people show up on the first and second night. The third night, nobody showed up. At the end of the night, we just voted and passed them and put them into effect.
Yeah, maybe
And sign it.
of more community benefit.
Oh, yeah, we did. I
To-
remember people showing up for them.
I mean, when the bulk of the regulations is just shifting the format around is the most important part, the fee schedule to have the public input on. I don't know. I mean, I have attempted to work with the town accountant on it, but I think it's pretty in line with what is affordable. So, yeah, I will make sure that I'll send you guys one clean draft of the fee schedule. And, you know, if you want some light reading, I'll send you what I've done on the regulations outside of that. Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, guys, for your time and taking the time to look through this. It's never an easy task, for sure.
Still has to be, it's like, has to be.
I can come up with some creative ways. I got some ideas. I could use more Post-it notes.
Anyway,
Awesome.
okay. Motion?
Steph, do you have the time?
Nobody's picking up. We have a motion.
Second,
Any discussion? All in favor?
I.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
Wait,